Sydney, hey, what are you doing? Give him a Rambo.
So, what you're about to watch is a conversation between me and my mother, Kathleen.
Hello.
As we progressively drink more and more wine. Yes. Do you have anything you want to add?
No.
Nothing?
That's it. Whatever you say.
You're so full of shit. So, when you were pregnant with me, what were you expecting? Or hoping?
I was expecting a boy because I didn't want to admit to anyone that I really wanted a girl.
Why didn't you want to admit to anyone that you wanted a girl?
Because if I admitted I wanted a girl, then I'd have a boy for sure. But because I wanted a girl, I knew I'd have a boy. It's kind of like that, you know.
Okay.
So, before you were born, I only had boys' names picked out. Either Greg, short for Gregory. I really like Gregory. And Toby. Toby was the name of a great uncle of your grandfather's, so I don't know what that makes him exactly, but he was a famous clown, Toby Tyler. So I always thought that was a cute name. But after you were born, I picked Sydney, not because it was gender neutral, but because it just seemed to fit you, fit your personality.
How long after I was born did you name me?
Probably 24 hours. I waited a little while.
Like,
by
like
the
a
time
puppy?
yeah, kind of like a puppy. But by the time I brought you home, I'd already named you because it's on your birth certificate. And you get the birth certificate, or you sign for it before you leave.
So you have to name the baby before you leave.
Pretty much.
You can't like come back and be like, oh wait, I thought of a really great name.
I suppose you could, but you'd have to change it. But no.
How was Dad involved in all of this?
He was not involved in naming you at all. Matter of fact, on the way home from the hospital, he said, "So, what'd we name her?"
Any expectations for me? Did you want me to be like a ballerina when I grew up, or?
You know, I really did not. I just wanted you to be healthy and happy. I didn't care what you did or how you did it, as long as you were in good health and you could be happy.
As a baby?
No, I had no expectations. I didn't. I hoped you'd be funny. I hoped you'd be smart. But other than that, I had no career goals for you.
Looking through the pictures, it looked like you dressed me fairly gender neutral. Like, you don't see, there's some dresses, but you don't really see me dressed, with like little bows on my bald head and.
No, but then I don't dress that way. I don't wear a lot of dresses. I wear pants all the time. You went through a stage when you were in your threes, where you picked out really pink frilly dresses. They all had lace and layers. But, and then you got into a little funkier style, but you didn't dress.
What do you mean by funkier?
Oh, you'd wear your hat sideways, or you wore hats with big flowers. I mean, you had a good sense of style even as a little kid. But, by the time you were 4, you were picking out all your own clothes anyway.
Nice.
It wasn't a fight I wanted to have. We used to argue about what you were going to wear, and I decided,
What was my argument at 4?
Just that you wanted to wear what you wanted to wear, even though it might have looked a little weird to the adults. But I decided that wasn't as important as your behavior.
Are you driving?
say 4, or whatever. Would you?
At 3, you wore ruffled dresses. At 4, you started to migrate toward wearing pants rather than dresses. By the time you were,
Why do you think that is, though?
I don't have any. I would assume it was because that's all I wore. I don't wear dresses. Didn't wear dresses very often. You resisted what your grandmother tried to force you into, and you tend to be resistant anyway. If someone tries to force you to do something, you'll go the opposite direction. So I don't think it was a sexuality-driven choice at that point. You were more comfortable in pants. You're a tomboy. You like to climb trees. It's harder to climb trees in a ruffled dress. You were fearless. You were always climbing something. So your choices perhaps were more practical at that point.
More practical. What were my personality traits like, as far as like, like being really girly, or was I more like rough and tumble?
You were quirky and rough and tumble. I mean, you loved dolls. You loved My Little Pony. You loved Rainbow Bright. You loved all those things. You had Barbies. We have pictures of you with a whole bunch of different dolls and stuffed animals. But you were funny. You were quirky and funny. You wore cute hats, and so there was nothing in your behavior or in the choices that you made that would have led me to believe that you were going to be lesbian.
Let's talk about my friends.
Mm-hmm. You had 2 friends at the same time that were really good. One was a boy, one was a girl.
Mm-hmm.
Jeffrey was sort of he
was a nerd.
He was a nerd. Megan was totally feminine. So you were right in the middle. You fit in really well with Megan. You did all the girly stuff with Megan. You were the adventuresome one with Jeffrey. You were the one climbing the trees. It wasn't him. He stood down and watched you.
So would you say I was more like androgynous, or?
You had multiple interests. You were not androgynous because so
it kind of filled the spectrum?
Yes. You were broad spectrum. You were every kid. You had dolls. You climbed trees, played with boys. You had girlfriends. You had little boy friends. You did not gender select, if you will, one way or the other when you were little. But there was nothing in your behavior or your choices that would indicate that you were going to be homosexual. A loser?
Lesbian.
Oh, that's correct.
Loser things.
Well, isn't that what loser is?
In the movie Clueless, yeah.
Oh.
I should probably do it with this hand.
Okay, lesbian.
Liz.
Alright. Okay. You were a lot like me as a child, and I didn't turn out to be a lesbian.
No, but you're pretty close.
Middle school, you pretty much came out.
Well, by 8th grade, yeah.
Well,
what did you think of that? Because I was becoming aware of my sexuality around that time, around age 12, age 13.
Well, I think at 12 and 13, your sexuality was masked by your drug addiction.
Okay, do we have to bring that up?
Well,
yes, you can.
This is
I mean, you weren't. I wasn't focused on that. I was focused on trying to get your behaviors to be healthier.
Okay. But can we look past that, please? Because
Sure.
this isn't about drug addiction.
So at 14, you went through rehab, and after that point,
maybe I did drugs because I was totally confused and had no role models.
you had role models.
No, I had no gay role models.
Well, I don't know any. I didn't know any gay role models at
I
that
know,
point in
I
time.
know, like, I had strong women figures in my life, but no one ever talks about, homosexuality.
Homosexuality.
Yeah.
It probably never occurred to me.
Yeah. So maybe I did drugs because I was completely confused and miserable.
Maybe.
But that's pretty much every.
Well, and then
every
you were dealing
teenager.
with the pain of your father's betrayal.
Here we're getting into some shit. Yeah, okay, where was my dad during all this?
He was non-existent.
Okay.
He left. He left us both.
Do you think that had anything to do with obviously how I acted? Okay.
Yeah.
You've stated that. But do you think that had any effect on my sexuality?
I think it's possible. Because when you were 10, both grandfathers died within a month, 30 days of each other.
Mm-hmm.
4 months later, your father left. So every male figure, every man that you loved left you.
But what about that theory, the exotic is erotic? So since there were no male figures in my life, wouldn't it make sense that I'd be attracted to male figures?
I don't know.
I guess
I don't
that
know.
theory is debunked.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And to me, it doesn't matter.
Well, I know it doesn't matter to you, but how does that make me a lesbian?
Because you couldn't trust men.
Okay.
Men were untrustworthy. Men leave. Men lie. I don't know. I mean, that's a theory that you could have at that point because you were very, it was a very difficult time. You're going through puberty and all the men in your life left.
So what's your theory on so is that your theory on my sexuality then?
I don't know. I really don't know. It could have an effect. I mean, there are women who choose the lesbian lifestyle because they've been so wounded by men. And there are women who are lesbian because they're born that way. I don't know which is the case.
I know for a long time you thought this was a phase. It's an
I thought for a while it was a choice, not necessarily a phase.
Okay. What do you think now?
I don't know. If it's a choice, you're happy with your choice, and if you're happy with your choice, I'm happy with your choice. If it's because you were genetically predisposed, I'm okay with that too.
So I did try to contact my father to interview, and he refused. He didn't want to talk about it. And, yeah, that's pretty typical. Just not wanting to talk about gender or sexuality or anything like that. It's kind of like just this unspoken thing. So, yeah, that's my dad, I guess. Any last words?
I love you.
I love you too. I can do better than that.
What?
Do better than that.
Sydney, I love you.
I love you too.
Can I stop it now?
Yeah, but I feel like you can say something better.
Like what? I don't care about your sexuality. I care about you. I care about you being happy. You are you, and I don't. Anyway, any version of you there is, I'm happy with.
Any version, really?
Except for the nose ring one.